Hello everybody, let me introduce myself. My name is Amanda Layton, and this is my final presentation for EDUC 526, the Capstone Experience. I chose APU for my Master's in Education, Digital Teaching and Learning because I want to be an agent of change, a difference maker, and that is what APU professes, and that is what APU has given me the tools to be. Since technology is the way of today and tomorrow and the future, and APU teaches through the lens of a Christian worldview, I decided that having had an amazing time in the undergraduate program for human development, that APU's Master's in Education, Digital Teaching and Learning was the place for me to be. Along my educational adventure in technology here at the Digital Teaching and Learning program, I have gotten to complete some pretty awesome classes. 511 opened the program where the class taught us how to create a live binder, and it also allowed us to formulate our vision on how to teach with technology. In this class, I learned how technology could fit into my special education, moderate to severe classroom. The second course I took in the master's program here for Digital Teaching and Learning was EDUC 512, Instructional Applications of Productivity Software. And I learned a great deal about the history of technology, as well as technology today, and particularly the iPad and how to use it. Learning about tons of apps on all different devices was essential for this program and is essential in my classroom. The next class I took in this technological adventure was EDUC 514, Digital Video in the Classroom, and that was such a cool class. In 514, I learned about video creation, video shorts, shots and angles, and even how to edit video. I felt like a rock star after that class. EDUC 515 was to be next, and it was Evolving Educational Technologies. In this class, I learned to be creative and to trust myself to be able to create something awesome for my students. The next class was EDUC 522, and it was preparing us for this class. It was Learning in the 21st Century. It took all of the technology that we had previously learned, video making, how the apps that we could use with our students and everything, and taught us to put it into a curricular unit. And of course, this is 526's last class in the adventure that has been the Digital Teaching and Learning program here at APU. And it has covered, it's the culmination of all of those classes and how we put them together, not only just through curricular units and what we'll expect from the students, but what we expect from ourselves. And it is real. This program has really given me the opportunity to learn even more about my own vision for what I can offer my students as a teacher. And of course, EDU 526 wraps all of that into a nice, neat bundle for us. 526 gave me an opportunity with the Action Research project to look closely at a part of my daily life that just wasn't working. It made me look closely at it, research it, make a plan to fix it, then take data on that plan, and finally see if my problem-solving skills were on target to create a positive change in that area of my life. Let me walk you through the action research. I chose a topic close to myself for my action research study. I chose daily readiness and new beginnings. This action research program actually had everything to do with me starting the day with a disorganized closet. So, my plan was reorganization. Since this project is all about research is just what I did, and I found some very helpful things online to help myself create a 10-step process to getting my closet and my morning reorganized. My 10-step process began with step 1, which was a big purge, getting rid of a lot of stuff. Step 2 was sorting the things that I wanted to keep. Step 3 was shopping for new closet shelving. Step 4 was installing the new wire shelving. Step 5 was organizing the small stuff into totes. Step 6 was hanging everything according to my color code. Step 7 was displaying my shoes and bags. Step 8, creating a new laundry system. Step 9, a new towel shelves. Step 10 was testing it all out and adjusting as needed. The result of doing this action research project is that my daily readiness routine was seriously improved. I went from taking 22 minutes to get dressed to an average of 4 minutes. Of course, there were bumps along the way to shrinking my time. Adjustments like a laundry schedule, color code changes, placement changes of where I hung things, a wire shelf in the laundry room, and then adding a wall-mounted ironing board really made it go smoothly. The conclusion to my action research is pretty simple. My morning routine takes a lot less time and it's no longer stressful or difficult. So yay for a successful action research study. For my curricular unit, I chose the topic of reading. I teach kindergarten and first grade students with autism, and my students have varied levels of ability and needs. This curricular unit is comprised of 3 leveled lessons, which are further differentiated within the goals and the objectives of the lesson. Lesson 1 addresses a group of students who are at or near the pre-reading level and are working on becoming interested and attentive to books and reading. Lesson 2 was created for another group of students who are at the pre-reading level but have begun to identify letters as symbols with meaning and who have begun to relate pictures and symbols to text. Lesson 3 was created for my students who are already reading basic words. They're working on CVC words and honing their segmenting and blending skills to help decode and analyze text. Instructional strategies commonly used with students with autism require the use of a great deal of repetition.
These lessons in particular were created to be used over a 3 to 8 week period and were created for the students that I have in my classroom currently.
Let's look at my curricular unit and portfolio a little more closely. Lesson 1 for my pre-readers has to do with read-alouds, and basically what they're working on is attending a task for 5 to 8 minutes, and attending means that they need to stay engaged and touch key figures along the way and actually become interested in what they're looking at and what they're hearing. So in order to keep them engaged, to begin engaging them, to catch their attention and keep them engaged, we're using a number of different tactics. One, of course, is to have them use their hands in order to turn the pages. A second is the look with technology. We're using apps like SAS Read Aloud, which is an iPad on the app that reads them aloud for me, and it'll allow the student to use their finger to swipe and turn the page, or touch the arrow to turn their page. And it will allow for re-recording and familiar voice. It will allow to change the text and do all kinds of different things to simplify the story and make the story more interesting for each individual student. Stories Alive is another children's library app on the iPad which does a lot of the same things but with different stories and has a whole library of published books which we can augment to really meet the students' needs. So those are a couple of the things that we're really working on with Lesson 1. Lesson 2 addresses the group of students that I have that are also pre-readers but at a higher level. These pre-readers are working on letter recognition. So we'll do some fun stuff on paper, like we'll do an activity where they have to see it, well, they first have to hear it, see it, say it, touch it, and then paint splat. So we're going to use bingo markers for them to splat. To go even further into, catching their attention and really interesting them, we're going to use some technologies, and some of the technologies that we're using are apps on the iPad as well. We're using Twinkle, which is phase 1, and it is an iPad app which allows them to play matching games, and so they can match letters sound to the letter, and they can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. Another app that we're using is Phonics with Fonzie, and that one is really cool because my more visual students who need to see it and they're a little bit less verbal are having a lot of success hearing themselves and having it repeated back to them with Phonics with Fonzie. And he's a crazy little green dude who is just awesome for the kids. They love it. Lesson 3 in the unit is the Cookie Sheet Challenge, and it was designed for my students who are already reading. In this particular one, we're talking about the kids who are working on their CVC words, but I actually have some kids that have gone past this and they are now working with the same types of activities, but using sight words instead. They're working on this particular Cookie Sheet Challenge. It works on segmenting and blending so that they can decode and analyze the word and really just come up with actually reading it. Overall, with all of these apps and all 3 lessons, all of my students are excelling. I have shown lesson plans, apps, assessments, rubrics, and even some homework that are a part of this unit. I'm very proud of my unit and proud of the progress being made by my students who are excelling through it. Last thing I wanted to show you is to close with a fun little action commercial I made in EDUC 514. I used it to open with a group of after-school students, and they loved it. I hope you enjoy it as well. It all begins here. James's life was pretty boring. But things were all about to change for James. Fantastic adventures begin when James gets a strange gift. Discover where James's adventure will take him in Roald Dahl's book, James and the Giant Peach.